Hi, I'm Dave McKenna with Guide Flies. Welcome to the second fly in Hareline's top 20 fly patterns for the beginning fly tire. This is the Brassie. So let's go over the materials. For the hook, they give us a number 14 nymph hook. Feel free to tie these down to a 22 and preferably actually on an emerger hook. For the thread, we have an 8.0 Vivus. That's a really nice finer diameter thread here, and that contrasts great with the copper wire. It's a pretty classic Trout combination. The Hareline kit comes with some Danville's medium copper wire. A pretty classic version of this uses the UTC Brassie size, and there's some great color combinations there. For the thorax, they give us some strung peacock herl. I really like the peacock eyes for any type of trout body on a nymph. Also, you can add some glass beads to these flies. I usually do. Gives it a really great appearance as an emerger pattern, and change out the color there for red. That's a red Brassie is a great winter fly and midge pattern. So endless combinations you can play around with once you get the hang of working with wire here. The Brassie is a great fly to introduce two important materials to your tying bench. That's metallic wire like this copper wire and peacock herl. In trout flies like the Brassie and copper john, the entire body is made by touching turns of metallic wire. In most other nymphs and woolly buggers, metallic wire is used to create segmentation and add strength and durability. It helps small flies illuminate and adds contrast to dubbed or thread underbodies like the hare's ear nymph and zebra midges. So to start tying the fly, I get the hook into the jaws of the vise by the deepest part of the bend. I'm a righty, so I'm going to use my right hand to get the thread going with my bobbin and my left hand to hold the tag as I build the thread base down the hook shank towards the bend of the hook. Just going to take even touching wraps to build the thread base because we don't want that wire slipping around as we try and secure it to the hook. I bring it back up to the eye, leaving a couple millimeters behind the eye of the hook there to finish the head of the fly. One thing we tend to do as beginners is crowd the hook eye, and this is a good way to remind ourselves not to tie past our starting point. So I'm going to take about 3 inches of copper wire here and just going to set it on the side of the hook shank and tie it down the side there all the way towards the bend, just using my hook point as a reference, and then I'll bring my thread back up to the starting point there behind the eye of the hook, and I'm just going to take overhand wraps. You can use the rotary function of your vise when you get comfortable with that, but just want to take my time here to make sure I take pretty close touching turns with this copper wire. And if you have a little tiny gap, it's okay because it's going to show your thread through and give the bug some realistic impression there. So just taking my time. This is a size 14, but we're going to tie these down to 20s or 18s once you get more comfortable with those smaller hooks and smaller wire size. And just bringing that up towards the eye of the hook. And what I want to do here is just lock that wire down with a couple wraps and then just helicopter that wire off there so I don't have to use my scissors or anything like that, and that should break off nice and flush. Next I'm going to take my strung peacock herl that comes in the kit, and I'm going to take about three pieces of herl, lining up those tips and then just trimming off the real brittle ends there. Yeah, you want to cut those flush because those can pull out or just snap in the first few wraps. So I tend to like to use the peacock eye sticks anytime I'm doing a trout fly body. They've just got longer herl and better look to them than some of the packaged stuff. So I'm just going to give these a twist and just take touching wraps, trying not to tie over the herl. You want this stuff to be able to move around and just do that thing that peacock herl does. It's got a real cool iridescence when it gets wet. So just going to secure that down with a couple wraps and trim them flush. And I'm going to do my whip finish. Give that about 3 or 4 turns. 7 or 8 if you're just going to do one whip finish. And trim that as flush as you can. Good sharp scissors help when you're tying small flies. And just check it. Looks pretty good. And I'm just going to use some Zap-A-Gap to secure that little thread head there. And this is a great little fly. Tie these down, like I said, to 20s. Play with different colored wires. Copper wire is pretty cheap. And use some different hooks. We really like emerger hooks with a little glass bead in front of that peacock. So good luck. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe, and be sure to check out our website, guideflies.com.